Hi, Orly and I are at Harney Peak Trail. This is in the Black Hills of South Dakota. Absolutely awesome. We're at a memorial bench right here, and I wanted to start off this day of videoing to share with you what we do on a full day journey and what we do in some of the one-day events. So just to give you a little idea of what happens in the flow of the day. Now, I wanted to video this because the bench here right away says, life is a journey, take time to enjoy every step. And it's got, of course, a picture of the Harney Peak Range here, which is what we're hiking today. And this is a really amazing hike. There's actually an aspect of a little kind of castle, and part of the history behind Harney Peak is that there was an Indian chief of the Lakota tribe many years ago who received his first vision out on Harney Peak. So it's a very magical, very mystical, very spiritual place. It's full of vortex energy. And as I stepped into here, I realized that selenite is all over the ground, which doesn't need to be cleared. It's one of the few stones that is full of positive energy, and it cannot maintain any negative energy. So it's absolutely very cool to see that as a sign. And we'll be back in just a moment. Hey, it's Jessie, and I just wanted to share with you, we're starting our full day adventure at Harney Peak, and this is going to be an amazing day. So I wanted to do some little snippets along the way to share with you what we do so that you can get familiar with things as well. One of the first things I like to do when I arrive and I get ready to start my day is to actually grab intention for the day, because when we get our focus and we understand what our intention is for the day or the weekend, then it really helps us understand the signs and the symbols, and we can apply them as they show up throughout the day. So it's a very open, very flexible day for us, and it allows us to, sorry, I'm having to watch Orly too. It allows us to actually see how the pieces come together, and to see how we're getting answers in everything around us, and to pull together all the information that we're needing. So we started off, and my intention today is really about reconnecting with myself right now, and this is great to do at this time of year. We've recently come off of the autumn equinox time frame, and we are now heading into the fall season, which is a great transformational time. It's also a great time where we start receiving the abundance and the harvest and all of that type of energy, but we're also transitioning into looking more introspectively. So we're shifting from the outer world to the inner world at this point. Now throughout the day we'll have different aspects, because always on the day events we look at ourselves, we look at our interrelationships with others, and we also do healing for the earth. And we've been doing some healing along the way, which if you saw the previous videos, you're aware of that. Certainly going out into some of the various areas, doing glacial healing, and also doing some healing on the oceans. Today we're going to be focusing on some earth healing, because as I drove through, I really saw some shifts happening where they're trying to restore vegetation around the area. So restoring vegetation that's useful for us will also be here. Selenite, I just mentioned, as far as being a sign, we've also seen a butterfly. So we're off to a really good start. Orly's down here. She's ready to go for the day as well. And she's been already hiking. I don't know. I guess I can't quite get her in. It's hard to see both. But anyways, that's where we're starting. We're going to start off with our meditation and our focus on intention, and we'll be back with you later down the trail. Bye-bye. So I've got Orly here. She's a little bit in the shadows, so maybe she'll start walking here in a minute. But we are on Trail 9 of Harney Peak, and we were setting intentions, and I was asking her what her intention was. And her intention is just to bring smiles and joy everywhere she goes. That's part of her name, Bringer of Light. And so she's going to work on building that, and I think she's going to be an absolute superstar at it. She captivates the attention everywhere she goes, and she's kind of getting her bearings. The meowing is an aspect of getting familiar with her surroundings. It's part of what she does anywhere she's in unfamiliar territory. And then she just kind of goes on her way. So we'll be catching up with you later. Orly's right down there in the shadows. You heard me talking about signs and symbols just a little bit ago, and the one big symbol that Orly seems to draw a lot is chipmunks, which is very interesting. It's a very vibrant kind of energy about them, very playful and things like that. And I find that interesting given that she's a very meditative kind of cat in a lot of ways. She's very alert and things like that, but the chipmunks, definitely the little tiny ones, love to come out when she's around. So she's doing really great, and that kind of updates you a little bit on where she's at in signs and symbols. Hey, this is Jessie again, and I just wanted to bring you along on our adventure day a little bit. So one of the things that's happening, you heard me mention earlier that I'm really looking at the aspects of self-discovery again right now, because I'm in such a huge transformation of life right now, and I'm rediscovering myself. And what's great is this is happening at the fall season, which I mentioned before, and I've got some beautiful fall foliage here behind me with the quaking aspens, which I absolutely love, because I used to, when I was living in Utah, go out on my deck oftentimes and just listen to the leaves of the quaking aspen as the wind would blow through it. It's such an incredible sound to just be in tune with. And with this transformation, what I'm looking at, and one of the signs that I'm seeing with this, is that it's about so much more than just the basic, hey, there's transformation going on in my life, and hey, I'm rediscovering myself right now in my life. And what it is there's so many pieces that are the foundations of who we are, and they stay with us throughout all of life. And I'm sorry, I'm shifting the camera around a little bit here to get some better views, a little bit better lighting. There we go. And so when we look at these aspects and these dynamics, we have core principles that are with us pretty much all through life. And with those core principles, they're not going to go away. So if I have a passionate nature about me, then I'm going to continue to have passion in my life. The key is, how do I want it to manifest in my life now versus how it was manifesting when I was 8 or 15 or 25 at any earlier stages in my life. So now it has a lot more options to come out. Even though it did before, it had all those potentials to it. We transform those cores oftentimes based on where we're at. So different times, different lifestyles. And that's just one of the signs and symbols. And this is some of what we look at on our full day and whole day adventures. It's all about connecting. And nature is such an amazing classroom. It's such an amazing space to get all the signs and symbols. So we're going to keep meditating. We're going to keep doing some healing. And we're going to keep working up the trail. See you soon. So behind me right now is a grove of quaking aspens, which, if you remember, that was one of my symbols before. And I get a lot of people actually who wonder, how do I get inside? How do I connect with myself? How do I reach the mindfulness aspect? And simply by listening to something, say, as the trees will do that, something like quaking aspens will actually bring that focus back into our inner self. And let a couple of people get by here. And that will bring the focus back into our inner self when we do that. So if you have a hard time getting your mind still or being quiet, if you can find something, whether it's a waterfall or a fountain or something like quaking aspens where the leaves are catching the wind and blowing through, then that's going to be a really amazing way to focus your energy. It gives your mind someplace to go while still getting to the mindfulness and the quietness. So another key sign that keeps coming to Orly, and I say keeps coming to her as opposed to me today, is the aspect of wind or breeze. And she's kind of down there in the shadows, trying to get in there for you. And when we combine that with the symbolism of chipmunk, both represent high levels of intelligence. Now, we already know this, that felines have a direct connection with Lyra, but also an aspect of, it's amazing how she's able to grab. And this tells me, being that we're in a season of transformation, that she's going to be transforming her intellect and her intelligence to a much higher level. Between the peace portals that we've had for openings for the planet of Lyra in the 11th dimension lately, and more that we have coming up, we'll really see this come out in her towards the end of the year, around the winter solstice, which is when we have another peace portal opening up, and that's the winter solstice for 2014, in case somebody's viewing this at a later date. But the wind and the breeze, again, is really just an amazing thing, and it is air element, it's the mind, it's inquisition, it could be all kinds of things. And for her, she just has a great sense of peace with it. And so I think I might be in for a bit of a ride if her intelligence keeps growing, because she's already quite there, quite astute of gathering her little pieces so she knows exactly how to get back to the vehicle from any trail that we're on, gathering and taking in things like the smells of the ponderosa pines, tracking things, putting her voice, you can hear her crying a little bit, and that crying is part from nervousness, but part from how to explore the environment. And so she'll give off these little meows like that, also to notify maybe other wildlife around, and just to check what else is around that she can't see. So high level intelligence. We'll catch up with you further down the trail. So here's part of the beautiful vista on our way up to Harney Peak. And I love to find little spots like this along the way during our integrated adventure days. We actually will do meditation, and we'll find spots like this that are really great for opening you up, because they have such an expansive nature to them. And I'm actually going to stop and do a little healing work here and open up with my healing bowl, which I won't do while I'm trying to film, but it'll give you a great idea. And we're actually headed up the trail that way. And after we do some healing work here, we will catch up with you further up the trail. Orly, she's decided she's going to do a little walking around the rocks here before we sit down and do some healing. Get familiar with her territory. You can see her moving along here, finding her spot where she's going to be while I meditate. Although I'm not going to let her go off over the edge, because I'm not feeling like doing any rappelling today. But we're going to hang out here, do a little healing work, and we'll be back just to show you how she's doing. So one of the big things that we work with on the integrated Adventures of Integration days is perspective, because a lot of how things go in our life are based on our perspective of things, our understanding of things. And I have a view that I'm just kind of holding here in the moment, because we're going to be headed out on one of these ledges, areas similar to this. And yeah, I'm going to stand in the same spot and turn. And it reminds us that how we view things, the direction that we're looking at them from, brings us constant different perceptions of what we have. So for example, if we were just looking here, we would think, oh, we're in a heavily forested region. There's no real vistas or anything like that. We're just in a forested plateau area. But as we keep shifting and changing our perspective, we realize that actually we have some truly, truly amazing views to deal with. And if we were looking at it from this aspect and looking at it this way, we would have no idea how forested the rest of it was. So remember, it's all in the view. And I see here, I've captured a very interesting symbol towards the center between the pine trees. And it's creating a symbol of infinity. These are the very things we look for when we're doing Adventures of Integration, is these unexpected symbols that come to us and show up. It's also got a very nurturing energy, and maybe you can just look at that and see what you pick up in there as well. We're going to keep heading on our day of Adventures of Integration. Catch up with you soon. So I just wanted to share with you a little bit of one of the things we take a look at on our Adventures of Integration days. And there's a little kind of creaky like water flowing down the trail that we just walked up. There's a couple of things. This has a huge range of symbolism. And when I say this, because it can go a lot of different directions, and one of the aspects we look at on these days are our truths and distortions, and how we're viewing things and how things are programmed into us. So for example, this little area here could go a lot of ways. If somebody is living in their truth, they're going to see this as abundance and blessings flowing into them, also emotions, love, relationships, things like that that could be coming their way, gently trickling into their life, ready to be expanding. And if somebody's living in distortions, they might say, oh, this is like a yellow jacket or a wasp fest. And, we're prone to be, stung and bad things are going to happen. If somebody is, just simply looking at some of these different things. So there's all different levels of what we look at. And these perceptions oftentimes may arise, again, as I've said before, from our early childhood, 4 years old, 5 years old, things like that, or experiences we've had along the way that have shaped and programmed us that this is good or this is bad or things like that to see how we view it. Now, for me personally, water is a wonderful symbol, and it's something that we haven't had a lot of, so it's actually bringing in a balance that we haven't had up until this point. And that's a great symbol for me as I'm looking again at my own inner personal reconnection and reconnecting with who I really am right now on a new level and a new depth. So water flowing into me is very auspicious, being that I'm a feng shui person. So just want to take a moment to share some of that with you, and we'll catch up with you later on the trail. Just shooting a little reminder here. So many times we get going on our path and we're stuck and we're worn out and we're tired. And, actually there's Orly right there. She's in her little carry pack. She's been sleeping for a good portion of the way recently. And it's been wearing me down a little bit more today. But we can oftentimes get so focused on where we're headed and just see that it's nothing but uphill and nothing but challenges ahead of us. And, so many times we get to that point again where we'd love to give up. We're tired, we're worn out, but we're so close. And that's where we are right now. We're so close to Harney Peak that we can't give up. And what we have to do is we have to remember to stop and turn around and look behind us and go, wow, what an amazing view. We have come so far, and we actually do have results for what we're doing. Kind of focus in a little bit on some of this. It's amazing and it's gorgeous, and we just have to take the time to stop and look at it and appreciate how far we come. And this is one of the things about our adventure days, is that we don't always do a hike this intense. And it's not about how far we get, if we get to a certain destination. It's about what we're getting out of the day in the moment. And that's a huge lesson as well to keep in mind, that it's really not about whether we make this accomplishment or that accomplishment, but it's about how we're doing in the moment and how much we get out of each and every moment in our day. I'm sure it's great to make the accomplishments, and sure it's great to get to the destinations. But even more than that, we don't get to those destinations unless we see what's happening in the moment. We'll catch you up on the peak. Orly and I finally are at the tower at Harney Peak, and she's doing the stairs herself. Amazing, amazing views from up here. Get 360-degree views.
Panoramas.
We'll get the rest of these from the top. But
oh man, for some reason I thought that was a wild cat. I was like, holy crap, that's awesome.
Orly's absolutely doing an awesome job coming up here. Although she's starting to go down, which isn't going to work because we're going up. Okay, come on, Orly. Come on, we're headed this way.
Oh, man.
And she's just doing an awesome job. Got to do a little untangling here, so we'll catch you at the top. So we actually made it to the very top. Orly's right here with me. And she's chilling out. She kind of gave the dog a nice hiss that's up here. I've got her in the carrier at the moment. She was down while we were inside the tower, which is right here. And I've got her in here just because of the way the footing is on here. But these are our views from Harney Peak. And again, I adapt and adjust the events to whatever the skill level, the participant level is. So you can see there's basically 360-degree views from up here. It's absolutely amazing. It's incredible. And these are the things that we get to, and this is a reminder of what is so incredible in life, is that when we're willing to be persistent, when we're willing to work our way through things, we can absolutely get to these spectacular moments as well. And we will continue our journey. We will be doing a little healing. This part of the journey really brings us into our communications and our connections with other people and how we're going to interact. And that's a big part on our day as well, the interaction factor. So we're going to chill out here for a little while because we've got quite a hike to get back. And we'll tune you in along the way. So Orly and I are hanging out on some rock areas here, taking a little break before we head back down. And one of the things I always like to do is when we get to some of these key points around here, and you can just see how amazing these views are here, that I like to do some more healing work. And this is something that we do in Adventures of Integration throughout the day. Little bits of healing, little bit of singing bowl work. And it really is truly amazing to just sit and enjoy that in nature because, especially places that are highly traveled by people, and we have these sacred spots all over the world. And it's so important to stop and give it back some healing energy when it's giving out so much, especially when there's people that are doing things that maybe aren't always respecting what's here. So we're going to take a little time. I'm going to pull out the singing bowl, do a little singing bowl activity, and then we'll catch up with you as we head back down the trail. Hey, so Orly and I are headed back, and I know you're getting a lot of my face, but she's hanging there on the back of my backpack, right there on my shoulder with me. So you can see, getting a nice free ride down the trail. And we're going to do something that ordinarily I'd be stopping doing more meditations and things on the way back for the days, but what I thought I would do coming back today would be a moving meditation. And that's because we're running out of daylight and we want to make sure we get back to our cars safely before it gets dark out here in the woods. Always a good idea, right? Especially when you're traveling with animals. And so what we're going to do in this moving meditation is we're going to be working on part of our global healing, something that I came across here today, earlier, and I see it happening in a lot of places, and that is the beetles that are taking out our trees. So we're going to send some healing energy for the trees to definitely give us a little bit of restoration so they can restore themselves, protect themselves, and give them the opportunity to just not be totally consumed by this beetle. So we're going to do that as we walk back because we don't have a lot of daylight. And again, there's Orly. You can see her hanging out with me, and we'll catch up later with you on the end of the trail. So here Orly and I are. We're right back where we started the day. There's the bench behind us that we started the day with, and Orly is right down in there somewhere. And she did a great job today. It was absolutely amazing. And as we wrap up our events for the day, I always like to bring a little bit of closure to things and see the recognition and the realizations that we've had. And that's one of the things I'd like to do at the point that we started, because we always come full circle in life. We always come back to our starting points, but we come back to them in a new scale, a new way. And that is so important. So this is what Adventures of Integration is all about. And sometimes it's nature, sometimes we're going to be in cities, sometimes we have other events that are going on that are not the nature full day based events as well. And you can check all of those things out on my website, Jessie Ann Nichols George, the1.com. And it's been a fantastic day out here at Harney Peak doing this trail. It's been a long day, and one of the things we definitely got to do is hydrate ourselves and make sure we replenish our bodies with some really good nutrients. And animals too, that's so important. The hydration goes much more than we realize, and so it's important to get that extra water in us, and we'll be doing that all this evening. It's been such a pleasure to bring an insight to what we do on Adventures of Integration. Take care. Bye-bye.